Hey, good afternoon, or closer to good evening. This is Rich from Tennessee Homestead. I'm making this video for a special lady, and you know who you are. You sent me an email uh, asking a question. That You left out one important thing on that email. That is even where you from. So that makes it an even harder question, but it is a good one. And so I let you know that I would do a little brief video on it and get it back to you. I'd post it up there today, tomorrow morning. And hopefully this will answer your questions. Okay, the question was, she was new to homesteading and wanted to know how much should she charge for a dozen of eggs. And well, that's a good one. If you're right outside New York City, I'd shoot for $10 a dozen. If you're from the LA area, you could probably, in San Francisco, outside those areas, if they're within your market zone, you probably use $6, $7 a dozen. If you're down here where we're located at, most of the farmers markets and so forth down in here, $3 a dozen. So, you know, it's one of those things of how to price your eggs. Oh, you guys are noisy. How to price your eggs, it's going to depend on what the market's going to bear. But they say, you know, if you give somebody a fish, you fed them. But if you teach them how to fish, you feed them for the rest of your life. So I'm gonna try to help you out here a little bit. You need to know your cost, your exact cost of what that dozen eggs, how much you got into it. You take, and a lot of folks leave this out. If you get into, let's say you go out and buy, you know, some chicks and pay $4 a chick for them. Okay. All right. You need to spread that cost out over the life of that chicken, which is going to be approximately 36 months, and that's going to give you a price for what those chickens cost you over their lifetime. It might be something like, you know, 11 cents or whatever. Not much. You need to look at your feed. You know, and if you haven't got an established flock and this is just something you're looking to do, then go out online, find out what the breed of chicken that you plan to deal with, what's their feed requirements. Figure out how much it's going to cost you to, you know, feed those chickens. Do you run lights in your coop? You need to include that cost. You know, apple cider vinegar for their water. You need to include those costs. Bedding, everything that, you know, anything and everything that has to do with raising and caring for those chickens, you want to include in there. That's part of your cost. Then comes the big one. How much time do you spend taking care of chickens? Now, if you don't want to include in there, you know, the times you're going out there, just check on them, just generally, you know, for your own peace of mind or whatever. But how much time do you spend a month cleaning nest boxes, cleaning out the coops, collecting eggs, blah, 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 cleaning eggs, you know, all that. Get an idea. I wouldn't try to put a dollar figure on that just yet, because I think it's going to shock you. But anyway, get all your costs in line. Know what you're spending on your chickens. If you're going out and spending, you know, mealworm treats at $20 a bag, and you know, you're feeding a bag of them to a month, it's part of your cost. Anything you're doing for those chickens, part of your cost. Let me qualify the next part of this. Down here we have a saying. If somebody's as poor as a church mouse and barely living day to day, having a hard time keeping food on the table, we have a term for that. It's called living on eggs. Now, that term doesn't come from that's all you're eating is eggs. That term comes from you're trying to make a living off of eggs. Not a lot of money in eggs. You know, eggs is one of those where, and if you play with the numbers long enough, you'll quickly see this. Once you get all your costs down for, let's say, like with us, we run 20 laying hens. Out of that, we get about 35 dozen, pretty consistent, 35 dozen a month. If we tried to make money on that, we would be probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 times. Well, I think my actual cost on the thing to turn a profit on the thing would be right around $6.25 a dozen. Not gonna sell them. Okay, just not gonna sell them. So what we do, our in-laws and family and things of this nature get free eggs. It's kind of one of those things we do. We share what we have. We always have eggs, and we have eggs a lot around our place. Matter of fact, this summer I figured I'd throw a video or so together on some how to whip up some poke salad and scrambled eggs. It is quite the treat, but you got to do it right. Poke salad done wrong, not real healthy for you. So anyway, know your costs. This is true on anything on the homestead. Know your cost. Now, whether or not you're going to be able to recover it, who knows? You know, eggs is one of those businesses that if you're going to make profit on it, it's usually one of those get big or go home. Because you'll see that your margins start changing with the higher production. And believe me, I sat and took a look at it and thought, what would I have to do to start at least making a little bit of money on my eggs? And I got to tell you, it put me up around 130 birds, and I just didn't want to deal with that. Okay, sorry, just more than I wanted to deal with. So here's another thing to think about. You can sell fertilized eggs for a lot more money than you can cooking eggs. Okay, so if you got some roosters and stuff that are doing good, and of course you want to try on your own to incubate some, make sure that they're good fertile eggs. You can sell those. Hatch your own chicks. You can sell those. Okay, there's a lot of things you can do other than selling dozens of eggs. Okay, this room I'm standing in is going to be converted into a brooder and a hatchery. We're not going into it big time because I don't plan to have more than what I got now as far as birds go. Of course, best laid plans of mice and men get changed. But we're kind of looking at, okay, instead of selling off our extra eggs for a loss, I mean, basically we're paying people to take them, we may start doing things like hatching out our own chicks, selling chicks, or selling chickens, or pullets, things of this nature. So when you look at it, you know, look at all your costs, everything you're going to get into it. And I've even at times went as far as to say, okay, at the end of these girls' lives, I end up with some soup chickens, and I throw a little credit in there for some soup chickens to come up with my total cost, and it's not good. But that's going to, here again, depend on your market. You know, I'm not close to a big city. You know, I'm selling eggs in small towns and small farmers markets. Another nation heard from. Small towns and small farmers markets, and everybody there is running about $3.50 a carton of eggs. And that's something else. Don't forget is you get to buy some egg cartons too. So you know, kind of keep this stuff in mind. Break your costs out. Know what your costs are. But first and foremost, if you haven't gotten into chickens yet, go out and price your local farmers markets and so forth, the areas that you're going to be planning to sell in. Find out what the going rate is. Don't be surprised if you can't make any money selling eggs. Okay? Most of this country, you don't make money selling eggs. But it does offset some of your costs. And, you know, you got the eggs, what the heck, so you get back a little feed money. But as far as turning a profit and using the money to pay your light bill, that probably isn't going to happen. Okay? So I hope this helped. Animals. You know, you gotta love them. But I really do. I hope it helps, and I hope that you step back and take a hard look at your costs on things. When I did those, so you want to be a homesteader, that was one of the topics I covered was know your costs, and you need to know your costs on everything. Raising chickens, raising goats, raising pigs, whatever you're going to do, you want to make sure that you can make a dollar off of it if that's what your goal is. If it's looking to provide meat for your family, whole different goal. Except for I have seen, and I'll give you a heads up on this, something for you to think about. There is so many different things out there where people have taken on a cow as a pet. And they give it all kinds of treats, and they do this, and they do that. Lord, by the time they're done, they could have went down and bought a side of beef from a butcher, okay, and paid retail for it, and they didn't save themselves any money at all. So when you start looking at what you're doing with your animals, you treat them humanely, you feed them well, you take care of them, but don't get nuts. Especially if you know, when I butcher a cow. At the end of the day, when all is said and done, I don't want to be paying any more for my steaks than what I'd have to pay for a hamburger at the grocery store. Okay? And that's some of the perks of Homestead. But if you don't watch your cost, you can end up paying the price of steaks for a pile of hamburger. You hear what I'm saying? Just pay attention to your costs, know what your costs are. A homestead is a business, in a sense. And if you're not paying attention to what you're spending, and that applies to anything, if you're not paying attention to how much you're spending on your product, you can end up losing your shirt. Case in point, you want to know what your cost is. I can't tell you that. So I guess my answer is, I don't have a clue what you ought to be selling your eggs for. But I hope this helps you figure out what you need to sell your eggs for. And you have a great day, and thank you very much for the email. I do appreciate it. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad somebody's even out there looking at that stuff. Okay, you have a great day. Bye.